Welcome to Elite Outcome Academy. You found this video from a link in the bio, or you've been exploring what Elite Outcome Academy is. Maybe you've been searching to try to find a place that is a good fit for you to transform your life from pain into purpose, to turn your mess into a message, and to heal from the abuse, abandonment, neglect, betrayal, and trauma of your past, so that you can become a complete human being and live a fulfilling, purpose-driven life. Let's talk about it. I want to introduce you to what Elite Outcome Academy is and how this process works. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Eric Thomas. I am the founder and creator of Elite Outcome Academy. It is an academic, evidence-based approach. What does that mean? Well, just like going to school, we start at kindergarten and we go through 12th grade. As we progress through our grade levels, we learn more advanced skills to be able to do more advanced things like mathematics and reading and writing, and that starts with learning the basics first. As we progress through the process, we can then start going into AP classes or more intense, more in-depth work. Same thing that we do here at the Academy. We walk you through the process step by step, hand in hand, of going from the basics of what you were probably never taught and going through more advanced discoveries and work and exercises so that you can become who you truly want to be. What is that evidence thing that I just said, right? This is an evidence-based approach. And I do not mean research-backed evidence approach. I mean you gaining evidence in your life that change is possible, that you can actually go out and take action and start getting rid of the pain that is preventing you from becoming who you want to be. So start turning down depression, anxiety, and stress, and start turning up your ability to live a happy, fulfilling, joyful life. Okay? Evidence in your life. An academic, evidence-based approach. So how do we do that? Well, again, we start right at the basics. We start in phase 1 with learning the tools and skills and frameworks that we're going to apply throughout the process. Liken this unto learning what the number 1 is and what the letter A is, right? And then learning what the plus symbol, subtraction symbol, multiplication, and division symbols are. And then going through the process of learning how to add, subtract, and divide numbers together, or taking letters and creating words, which then create sentences, which then create paragraphs, and then learning how to read and write at more advanced levels. So we can liken phase 1 of the Academy like quarter 1 of school. We're going to learn the basics, we're going to learn the frameworks, and we're going to learn how the process of going through and making them tangible, because that's the biggest thing missing today in the world of personal development, self-help, is having something tangible to actually use. Maybe we'll stop here for a second and explain that, okay? My biggest frustration after 10 plus years of working in the world of personal development and self-help on myself, of reading the books and watching the videos and going to the seminars and listening to mindset things, everything was just kind of in the wind, right? Makes you feel good for a few moments, makes you feel inspired or motivated, but then it's gone in the wind and you can't really use any of it tangibly, right? What are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do after you read a book and the last chapter closes? Or like there's nothing left, right? Not here at this Academy. So as we move into phase 2, after we learn some of the basics, we start to do some behavioral studies, okay? We look externally and we look internally. Phase 2 is called Tools to Recovery. Tools to Recovery meaning recovering from an old way of life and becoming who we want to be, right? When we recover something or from something, we would expect ourselves to be healed. I do not like how the word recovery is used in addiction studies, specifically where somebody says, I'm in recovery. No, there's time frames to these things. When you break an arm and that heals, you are then recovered from that said injury. the same thing can apply to our human experience, right? To our psychological and sociological conditionings, our neurological misfirings, and so forth. So phase 2 is taking the process of observing external and internal behavioral traits, examining them scientifically, and then learning how to deal with them, right? Why do we do what we do, when we do, how we do it? Does this align with who we want to be, or are there some things that we need to do differently? We do this through timeline work by examining retrospectively things that have happened. We do this through application. So discovering certain little things, maybe it's a negative trait or maybe it's a positive trait, and we go out and we experiment with it. We become experimenters, which leads me to one of the explanations that I want to make sure that we cover. Elite Outcome Academy is a kind of a process that will allow you to become a scientist over your life, right? I've really tried to use an agnostic approach, meaning indifference, right? It doesn't matter who you are, why you are, when you are, how you've become the version of you that is here today, but I do want you to go through the process of examining it as if you were doing a research project. I know in the world of therapy and psychology, they would call that intellectualizing. But that's not what we're doing here. We're not intellectualizing. We're examining. We are looking at the process of what we've been through, how it has influenced us, and why we behave in certain ways because of those things, okay? Tools to recovery, phase 2 of the program, we can liken it to hand tools. So we're discovering our hammers and our screwdrivers. We're learning how to use our hammers correctly and our screwdrivers correctly. And then we're also looking at the tools that we don't even realize that we have. You see, you have some behavioral traits that, one, you take for granted, and two, you don't even realize can be utilized for civilized behavior, right? Maybe you have self-sabotaging, self-destructive traits. We're going to turn those upside down on their head, and we're going to teach you how to use those skills to go after a life that you want to live, to go after your dreams. Phase 1 and phase 2 are foundational fundamentals, okay? We're going to build a foundation underneath you between phase 1 and phase 2, so that way as we move into phase 3 and we start doing some of the more advanced work, you don't crumble and fall and dissolve underneath the weight of doing some of the heavier stuff. Okay, so by the time we're done with phase 2, I expect you to have a level of confidence and certainty and capability and skill so that when we look at doing the more difficult things, reimagining, reperceiving, getting awareness over some of the more difficult misfortune and traumas that we've been through, that we can extract from them the ability to continue moving forward with with finding the tools from those events and circumstances that will allow us to advance and enhance our own lives, okay? Which leads me into phase 3, tools to trauma. Tools to trauma we can liken into the power tools. So the jackhammers and the air tools and the battery powered stuff, we can go into doing some more difficult, more powerful work now that we have this newfound confidence and certainty and awareness, okay? Tools to trauma is like AP classes. So in phase 1, we've got all of these modules where we're learning all of these frameworks and gaining some new insight. Phase 2 has a whole bunch of homework, a whole bunch of exercises, a whole bunch of lessons. Please don't let that steer you away. We're doing it step by step, call by call, live together. You can do it self-paced if you would like, and then join the calls and get and be involved in the work, right? But as we go into phase 3, it's a lot lighter of a load, okay? When you get into advanced classes, there's far less lecturing, there's far less mechanisms, and that was my intent with phase 3. Now that we've gotten all of these tools and skills out of the way, and we know how to approach certain things with newfound confidence and awareness, we can look at more traumatic events, more misfortunate things like abuse, abandonment, neglecting, betrayal through a different lens, okay? This is very, very exciting because as we do this, we will gain new insight and capability to deal with the more harsh things that have caused behavioral mechanisms, that have caused opinions and insights, and we can start really rewiring the psychology and the nervous system within you to become that version of you, to start becoming a version of you that can handle becoming the dream version, the elite version that you want to be. In phase 4, that's what we begin to do. So through some of the exercises that we do, we experiment and we extract the potential of who we want to be, how we can get there through the skills and the talents and the traits that we've discovered because of our past history, because of familial ties, because of jobs that we've had and experiences that we've gone through, and we can start to apply them towards becoming a more self-actualized version of ourselves. Let me break it down this way, okay? Similar to Maslow's hierarchy, we have naivety at the bottom, and then we go into awareness. We break free from naivety by being aware that there are other possibilities, okay? And then as we go from awareness, we go into self-awareness, okay? We go into a state of mind of understanding who we are at a much deeper level, okay? So as we go from naivety to awareness to self-awareness, we then get the ability to go into self-actualization. What is self-actualization? Well, it is the ability to understand yourself at such a deep level with such confidence that you can move forward in the world and have purpose and contribution so that you can achieve belonging. Once you do that, you can then start to go into becoming the observer, okay? You become the observer over you, why you do what you do, when you do it, and you begin to set your own pace and your own disciplines with your own new standards and boundaries in where you will and will not participate in life. And you become the observer over why other people do what they do. Okay? When you can really get to a place where you understand what you do, why you do it, when you do it, and how to design your life on your terms, you can then start giving higher levels of grace and patience to others that have not done the work. At this stage, you should and are expected to have become intensely conscientious. There's a caveat to that. When you become intensely conscientious, that can become very lonely. Maybe that's the stage that you're at. And maybe you've been doing the work already. Perhaps going through the process of the Academy will give you further and deeper insight into who you are, because there's a lot of intention designed into the way that we go through this process. However, maybe that's not exactly what you're looking for. Maybe it's belonging that you're looking for. Well, as we go through the process, you're going to have a community of people surrounding you, giving you love and giving you insight and encouraging you to keep on going. But not only that, it's a place where you can share your experiences, your insights, your epiphanies, where you can go through the process of having a greater, more complete, more fuller understanding of who you are. In this academy, this is meant to do the real work. In this academy, it is expected for you to participate in changing your life. In this academy, you are not alone. You have a whole group of people here, including me as your coach and mentor, to walk you through the process. I needed this the most for me. And when I discovered the pathway for me to go from distraught, destructive, depressed, and anxious to becoming the version that I am today, I couldn't keep it a secret. I had to figure out a process and a way to guide other people through it. So I'm glad that you're here. Thank you so much for spending this 15 minutes with me to learn more about the Academy. I hope that I've given you enough insight to understand what it is that we do here. There is so much more to it that gets unfolded as we go through the process together and on the weekly calls and things that you can learn more about on social media and so forth. But for $129 for an entire year, I don't think that it's beatable. That's less than the price of most therapy sessions. And I want to entice you to stick around and make that commitment, okay? So let me explain to you. The $129 for a year will get you into starting the process of both the self-paced education and the live calls, okay? I am making a great attempt to try to schedule everybody accordingly as they come in. This thing is brand new, so be patient with me as we build out the process. There's an entire social media feed. It's very Facebook-esque, okay? You can go in and introduce yourself. You can go get that love, get that camaraderie, get that sense of belonging, and we can have many, many great, intelligent discussions in there, okay? The classroom will unfold for you at a self-paced approach as you go through the process and you progress through and you start applying those changes and those exercises and those lessons to your life, okay? But I want to give you something even more valuable than the community or the classroom, which I don't really know if there is anything more valuable. So that's why I want to give you lifetime access upon your graduation and completion of Elite Outcome Academy. So what we will do is get on a graduation call, okay? It'll be a coaching call. It'll be a processing call. It'll be an interview. It'll be something that is necessary for me to figure out whether or not you actually went through the process, but also to congratulate you on the work that you have put in, because how cool, how incredible. This has been a lifetime work for me, more than just the last 4 years of developing this process, but it has been a lifetime's angst of mine to get to where we are today. And I'm very, very, very excited for you to be here and for you to join this academy. So without any further ado, if you're watching this on YouTube, click the link below this video to go to school.com where we host the academy and fill out the payment form and jump right in. If you're on school.com, then click the button and join right in. And by all means, if you end up deciding that this isn't the right fit for you, for whatever reason, maybe you're going broke and you need your money back, please just reach out to me. I don't want you here if you're not ready, and I want you here, but if you're not ready, I want you to have that autonomy of making that decision for yourself. So today is October 3rd, I think, 2025, as I'm recording this video. From now until January 1st, it'll be $129 for the entirety of the next year for you to continue coming back and going through the process as many times as you need to, for it to be tangible, for you to get that evidence, and for you to be part of a community. Upon completion of the process, I will grant you lifetime access. Come January 1st, the price goes up to $297 for the year. And if you end up expiring before the graduation call, then unfortunately you're going to have to pay the new price when you decide you want to come back in. So right now, one time, $129. As long as you go through the process, you'll never have to pay again to be part of such a powerful community and classroom. Okay? Wow, we did it. I think we explained it very well. If there is still questions, comments, or concerns, please reach out to me. DM me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, wherever it is that we have met, or whatever it is that you can find me. So with that being said, as always, become elite and find somebody to be kind to today.